So I have a Deus 2 here, and I'm going to demonstrate the tonal offset while in full tones, how that impacts the tones on the lower conductive targets. And on the iron, if you have your, if you accept this iron here and you raise that offset up really high, you're going to get high tones on the iron, and I'll show you that here. And it also bends the tones on these lower conductive targets right near on the fringe of that discrimination. So I'm going to turn the Deus 2 on here. So this offset is only active on the accepted range. It's not going to impact the tones on the discriminated range. You can discriminate the foil, you can discriminate the iron, you can discriminate out the mid-conductive targets if you want. And so I'll just start with some iron here. I'm just going to start out in the hot mono program here. I'll just tell you my settings here, and I'm going to explain why I have these settings here in this program, custom program. 7 discrimination. This is based on the mono program. It's a little bit less EMI here to deal with. So it's in full tones. Offset is 11, and I'm going to explain that here in a minute too. Notch 0, 0, silencer 0, tones, full tones, 95 gain, frequency 18. I adjust all these when I'm tuning my detector. Iron volume 10, I'll usually keep that up pretty high. Reactivity 4, audio response 2. So I'm going to go on the discrimination menu here, and there's a reason why this offset menu is in the discrimination menu. It's a sub menu of the discrimination because it has, they're connected. They are connected. Rejected tone. Right. That's iron, it's nail. It's a rejected tone there. So I'll drop the tonal offset down, up. It does not affect the discriminated target. And this is discriminated because I'm discriminated to 7 here. So I'll go back down to 11 here. Now I'll accept this. Right. Now I've accepted that, right? Minus 6.4. That's accepted tone. I don't want to accept these nails here. And watch what happens when I raise my tonal offset up here. If I go up high on the accepted targets there, it'll raise those tones up on those accepted targets. So I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that, right? I'll go back down to 11, and I'll reject this iron here. See how it goes up? Listen to this. I'll go to 0 here. I'll go to 0 discrimination here. Listen to it. As I'm going up, right when it gets towards the, right when this target becomes rejected, that tone starts raising up, and it does the same thing on all these other targets too. I'll show you here. It raises up just slightly. So I've discriminated this out here. I'll go to 7 here. 7. Now I'll just try some of this gold here, right? Listen to this. 33. Watch what happens when I drop my tone down, offset down to 5 here. We're down to, I'll go to 7 here. Still a pretty good tone there. Still high, it's still a mid tone there, even though it's reading at 33 here, right? Foil range. I'll grab a piece of foil here, a thin piece of foil here. 33, same numbers as that gold right there. So this offset is really not going to benefit you if you're going for higher conductors. This is basically for the lower conductive targets. That's one handicap that the Deus 1 had, is it just that foil range, that lower conductive range, when in full tones, had almost the same tone as iron. So there's not really a division. There was not a separation in the lower, the undesirable iron targets compared to the lower conductive, like coins and small gold jewelry. So what I'll do is I'll swing some of this gold over here. Very low, I just found this gold ring with this detector in the playground. This is 10 karat right here. 31, reads at 31 there, right? I'll go to 11 here. Listen how high that is. But I was in a program that was rejecting this out. I was discriminating to 44 or to 38 or something like that. So it was rejecting this out there. So I will reject this target out here. So one thing that's a beauty about this Deus 2 is when you reject, when you're in full tones and you reject a target out, that you still have that full tone range here. So I'll discriminate out. I'll discriminate up to 44 here. I'll go to 50 here. Discriminate to 50 here, okay? This is reads at 46 here. This is a gold pennant. That's rejected target, right? Just rejected. I'll accept it. Right. That's rejected target. And now watch what happens when I go down in my offset here. It's not affecting it because it's a discriminated target, right? That's a discriminated target right there. I'll go to 10 there, or 9 offset. So I'll accept that now. Now I'll go in the offset here. Right, it's the 16 offset here, a little bit too high there. This 11, this is a low conductive target, reading at 46 here. Now, I'll show you, I'll reject this here now. I'll reject that same pennant here. It's a rejected target. Now listen to this little bit of foil here. Both of these are rejected targets, but they're different tones. You still have that full tones, that sliding scale of full tones still on the rejected targets. Now watch what happens on this higher conductive target here. It reads at 91 here. So this is accepted. Now watch what happens when I adjust that tonal offset down to 7, to 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. It's not really gonna matter much, this this offset on the higher conductive targets. I'll show you a silver ring here with the gemstone in it. It is at 0, 0 offset here. That's 211 there. So it has a great impact on the lower conductive targets. Small gold ring here. This is a rejected target, right? Now I'll accept it here. I'll go down to 40. 40 here. That's reading at 40 and I'm at 40 discrimination. So I've accepted that right there into the tonal range. Now watch what happens with this really low, I mean, both these foils right here, so this piece of foil right here reads up the same number as this big piece of foil, right? And it reads up, both of these read up the same number as this gold ring or this gold pendant right here, right? See? 34, 33, that gold. 33, thin foil. 31, this small piece of gold reads at 31 there. So listen to different tones here. Both these are rejected targets. Listen to it. A little bit lower. This small piece is a little bit lower there. So look at this tiny pendant here. Tiny little pendant. Okay. 63 there. Tiny little pendant. Look at this nickel right here. 64. They almost read up the same there. Now I'll show you the mid conductors. This is a mid conductor with this tonal offset at 11. I can discriminate up higher here too. Oops, I just dropped that. I just dropped that on the ground there. Somewhere here. Glad I have my pinpointer with me. Alright. Freaking losing stuff already. Freaking losing stuff, man. I just lost my piece of foil there. It just blew away. Quarter right here. Now, what I'll do is I'll drop my discrimination down to -6.4 and go up with my on this hairpin right here. I'll just do it on this hairpin, little hairpin. I find a lot of these. So my discrimination at 40 here, I'll accept it. So this one is accepted into the negative range. It's not accepted. It's accepted at 0. It's pretty much 0 is where it's accepted at. -6.4, come on, get there. And then I'll go to my offset here. Listen, I raise my offset up, and this is iron. I don't want to really be digging that out, so I want to discriminate that iron out. So I'm safe at 7. Pretty much I'm safe at 7. I can go higher if I want. You know, because I'm really not wanting the targets that I'm desiring to dig out of the ground are not in the 10s, not in the 20s, not in the 30s. Most of the time, not in the 30s. I'll discriminate in the 40s a lot, in the mid 40s or the upper 40s. But you know, in the U.S. there's so much foil in parks. They're just around these picnic benches. There's just so much of it. And I just cannot accept that foil when I'm in full tones, or else I'll be getting a high tone on that. You saw that, you know. I don't want high tones on these foily targets. But I pretty much have to, if I want to find the gold, I pretty much have to get a high tone on this stuff here, right? You got to dig out foil if you really want small gold targets like that. But I have noticed that the smaller targets, the smaller higher or mid-conductive targets, it really hits harder with the offset up a little bit higher, like to 10 or 11 or 12. I don't really think that it's really going to benefit you in any way, shape, or form if you have the tonal offset above 21 or 22. That's pretty much where the cutoff is. I mean, it's not really going to do you any good. But I think 5 was what it was at in the previous versions. That's what that tonal offset was. But there was no tonal offset setting in the previous versions, in the older versions of the Deus 2. And on the Deus 1, it didn't have a tonal offset. And the Deus 1, the whole thing about that is once you discriminated iron out or foil out, you had no tone. So it was a silent discrimination when you were in full tones. This detector, you have at least some options for, you have some tones on the rejected targets. You know, if I want to discriminate the foil out, I can still hear that foil in the ground and still have that full tone range on my discriminated targets. So I can still tell if that's iron or if that's foil. Even though both of those targets are discriminated out, it puts this division between your accepted range, your desirable targets, and your undesirable targets. That's what your discrimination is. And that's why that tonal offset submenu, that's why that tonal offset setting is in the discrimination menu, because they're connected. They're interconnected together. And they really, it's all about the discrimination, where you want really what you want to be digging out of the ground. You know, I really don't want to be digging out a bunch of foil, because there's so many little pieces of foil just like this in the ground. And when you're in higher frequencies, which I like hunting in higher frequencies, this Deus 2 really performs much better in the higher frequencies on the targets that I'm going for and in my soil. I just don't want to be digging out these tiny little pieces of foil, because they're just banging targets, right? Well, hope you guys learned something from that. Thank you for watching.